everyone. This is Kayla Starda with Fifth Avenue Brands. On the PR podcast, we give listeners weekly tip-packed episodes on the latest and most relevant public relations tips and tricks for you to implement in your own business. So on this week's episode of the PR podcast, we're discussing the dire importance of a subject line in your pitch. Your subject line is the first thing a reporter sees when they look at your email. We are going to dive into the anatomy of what makes an awesome subject line and how you can write subject lines that are going to prompt readers to open your emails in seconds. So really, to break it down, there's 3 elements to a great subject line. 1, keep it short. 2, keep it action-packed. And 3, keep it informative. It's a given that you're going to spend a lot of time on your media pitch to a journalist or a reporter. You know you have an interesting story to tell, and you're sure at least a few news outlets are going to want to cover it. That's all great, but regardless of how well your pitch is written, or even how newsworthy your message may be, unfortunately, journalists are not going to open your emails if they're not greeted by an eye-catching, newsworthy subject line that's going to entice them to want to not only open it, but even keep reading. 35% of email recipients choose to open an email based on the subject line alone. So spending time on your email subject line is imperative. Your ultimate goal in writing a subject line is to spark the attention of the recipient and make them curious as to what the rest of the email holds. Let's dive into the elements of what make a subject line great. So 1, be specific and concise. Your subject line has to be short and sweet. Essentially, you want to convey the most newsworthy part of your pitch in as few words as possible. It's also very likely that the reporter opening your email is on a mobile device, so that's another thing to keep in mind as well, is keeping it short so it fits on their phone. Generally, most email marketing experts recommend keeping subject lines below 50 characters or 5 to 10 words at most. Click-through rates, or when a reader clicks on a link in your email, are also 75% higher with shorter subject lines. So abiding to the rules of a short, concise subject line are truly the foundation to hooking that journalist with a great story. The next question you're probably asking yourself is, okay, but what should the subject line actually consist of? Take your story or pitch and think about what is most important or newsworthy about your story. What makes it newsworthy? This should be the meat of your subject line. This is also referring to the hook or the lead, as we've talked about in previous episodes. This leads us into our second tip, which is keeping your subject line action-packed. Making sure you're using strong action verbs to describe exactly what is newsworthy to the reporter is pretty important here. For example, here's an example of a short, sweet, concise subject line. Company X raises $11 million for Hurricane Harvey relief. You're telling exactly what the company's doing. They're raising money, a relevant news story. It's short. It's under the character limit. If you're pitching a local story, I'm sure you include location-based keywords, such as New York area startup or Bay Area company. Associating that subject line with the geographic area that reporter covers will cause the subject line to resonate even more with them, obviously knowing that it applies to the area that they cover. If you have a few ideas of subject lines that you want to try, don't hesitate to A/B test them. You can even take a subject line and try switching out a few words to test the open rates. You can use a program like Yesware to track those open rates for emails you send in your email server, such as Gmail, Outlook. It really just allows you, without using an email marketing platform, to be able to see who opens your email and when. This can be highly attributed to what your subject line is. Never be afraid to test out different subject lines, switching out the day or time that you send those pitches. And as a general rule of thumb, typically you don't want to pitch out on Monday mornings especially, because people's inboxes are bogged down. One last method you may want to try is to use almost an overly vague term as a subject line. For example, if you have a story regarding the latest trend or an interview on cryptocurrency, try using the simple subject line, cryptocurrency, one word. This vague intro may entice reporters to want to learn more, and at the least will get them to open it. Lastly, and this goes for all content across the board really, double and triple check your grammar in your subject line. One grammatical or spelling error in your subject line, or really any area of your pitch, is almost always going to lead to an immediate delete, or they'll just not take you seriously. So following these tips and guidelines will really help you improve your subject lines for your email pitches. The better you get at writing them, the more likely you are to see better open rates, leading to increased placements. Thanks for watching. We hope you found this episode helpful. For more PR tips, you can visit our website at fifthavenuebrands.com.